Can you guys hear me? Hey guys. Let's see. Okay, good. So I'm trying, last time I couldn't share my screen because I was just using the YouTube streaming platform, and that doesn't allow for screen sharing. So this is an experiment. I'm trying to use one of they have these softwares for streaming. And can you see my screen? It should, you should be looking at a page on the Cybertruck owners forum showing a mirror. Do you guys see that? Ooh, right down from the Fremont factory. Can you see my screen? Yeah, okay, good. What time is it? 7:50. Yeah, I didn't know if anyone would even be on here yet. So anyway, this is an experiment. I'm not exactly sure. So my camera, I don't have a webcam yet, a dedicated webcam. So I'm sharing a screen, but my chat's over here. So I don't even know. I'm learning. Old dog, new tricks. Okay, good. So I'm sure there's a way that I can flip these things around, but it's too late now. So some of the times I'm not going to be staring at the camera. You guys anyone want to talk about anything in particular? I wanted to go through Sandy Monroe's, his videos, and I want to talk some about the pass through. And I had a video up here. Volume. Does that make a difference? Let's see here. Can you hear now? Is that better? Mark, I'm doing good. So let me know if the volume's okay now. Still not? The volume's still not there, huh? It shows. I don't think so. I saw that, Ben. I'm going to show it. So it's been repaired is the one that kind of tipped me off on this pass-through thing. And we'll take a look. We'll see if we think it's a reflection. But it looks legit to me. I actually, I have it queued up. I have that part of the video queued up here on the browser. So we can all take a look at it when we get to that point. Oh, let's see. I haven't cranked up my volume, but you're going to start hearing my kids yelling at each other on the video games here shortly. If I get the volume too high, or my dogs. What time we got? Yeah, 7:52. So yeah, I mean I don't have it cranked, but I have it about as high as it'll go. It's a directional mic, so probably if I get it here in front of me, that's probably better. That's almost too loud, at least on my end. It's coming through my earphones. You guys is there anything you want me to talk about, or do you just want me to dive into my stuff? If there's anything you guys want me to cover, now would be good. Yeah, I've watched, the off-road video. So, one of what's been cool about Sandy Monroe's stuff is that there's a lot of things that I've covered in some of my videos, my earlier videos, that he's reiterated, which makes me feel better because I'm not really a gearhead. I'm a truck guy, but I don't like tear trucks apart or anything like that. So it's nice to get an engineer's perspective on some of the things that, as a truck person, I felt like were true, especially as it related to the suspension and the off-road capabilities. But there's only a couple of things that he's talked on that I either were new to me, new information, or there's a couple of things I kind of disagree with. But yeah, I mean, my thinking on we'll talk about that. Is it? Yeah, it's not 8 o'clock yet, so I don't really want to dive into stuff yet. Hey, Yeezy, Environmental, Mark, Ken, let's see, Steve, Hayden, Ben, Hector, welcome everyone. So yeah, the thing related to the solid axle thing, I wish I understood the engineering specifically better, because he talked about the solid axle is there that to prevent creeping and skittering, or I can't remember exactly how he referred to it, but one of the things was creeping, where the back end shifts around on you when you've got all that weight sitting on the back end. But I don't understand the engineering enough on what makes the solid axle so much better than we don't really know what the Cybertruck has. It would be hard for me to believe that they put those stats out there and they didn't actually put the loads on the Cybertruck. So, yeah, definitely. Can you guys hear my kids yelling? I can hear it, so it's coming through to me. Yeah, if you guys want, I mean, we can talk more about the off-roading stuff if that's what you're wanting to talk more about, because the armored bottom was another thing that in the video I did on the suspension when I was talking from Motor Trend, they had actually referred to the armored bottom. So that was one nice thing to get that confirmation in the Leno video. Yeah, that's right. And it's flat from front to back, right? I'm trying to remember the Leno video, but I didn't see anything. All right, good. I'm glad you can't hear my kids yelling. I didn't see anything in that, and that was solid. That steel was solid from front to back bumper. So yeah, there's 756. I hate to. I'm not that anyone's gonna jump on and suddenly we're covering things, but I'm curious how many of you guys have actually done off-roading. Has anyone in here done like the kind of off-roading where you actually get rocks scrape your the underbelly of the vehicles? Because if you haven't done it, you might not appreciate it as much. But when you get on real technical rock crawling areas, or not just rock crawling, ruts will do the same thing. If you're out on a real rutted trail, you end up high centering almost and dragging your differential across the high center part of the ruts. So Hector, Sirius, yeah, most of mine's been on a motorcycle too. I've done some. I've done like 1/10 in a truck or Jeep versus what I've done motorcycling. Okay, so we've got some people that have done some serious, Mud Hog, I guess your screen name gives that away. But yeah, the smooth bottom is really a big deal because it's such you don't have points where you get a bunch of resistance focused on a certain part of the truck, which often is the differential. It depends what you're hitting and what you're hitting. Sometimes it can be other parts first before you actually get to the rear differential, but the rear differential seems to be the low line target on the truck that frequently gets beat up as it goes scraping over rocks or ruts. Um, so yeah, the 39-inch tires, 12-inch lift on a short wheelbase Land Cruiser. Oh yeah, wow, that's a that's a rig right there. Um, so I guess so. Let's just dive into the off-road part. So Sandy Monroe was talking about he was comparing I'm a little mixed about the fact that he's comparing those trucks to the Cybertruck when he's talking about off-roading, because it's not even fair. None of those trucks are very capable off-road vehicles because of their clearance and because of the way that they're just not rigged up to go off-roading. They don't have armor packages on them. They don't have. So if you haven't off-roaded before, one of the things that you usually want to do if you have a vehicle that is gonna, you're always pushing the limits. That's the problem. Is that you'll handle something and then you'll go, oh, I wonder if I can do something more. So most trucks that you take off-roading, first you do a lift kit on them, and then you want to put on rock sliders, which is armor that you put around the bottom of the truck so that when you come to a rock, you can slide around it without damaging your fenders. So these vehicles, oh, and approach and departure angles, same thing. That approach angle has to do when you're either going up or down, but it's where the front hits, and departure angle is where the back hits as you're going up or down. And none of those trucks are even capable. It would have been a lot more fair to compare it to a Raptor or a Tundra TRD Pro or Tacoma TRD Pro, or like the Power Wagon, Ram Power Wagon. But let's see if I'm okay. So the things that he talked about were clearance, which the Cybertruck has 16 inches of clearance versus 9, and that's what my Tacoma TRD off-road has, is right about 9 inches too, which is, you can do a lot with 9 inches of clearance, but when you get into the real serious rock crawling or really bad ruts, sometimes you run out where the ruts are feet. They're like ravines or washouts, and they're feet deep, and so you really end up having a hard time with the lesser clearance on those on the regular trucks. So not only does the Cybertruck have a better approach and departure angle, which is, he was saying, similar to a Jeep, which means it can go up and down steep embankments, but it has much higher clearance, and then it's got that armored underbelly. But see, he didn't even talk about, okay, I wanted to mention this here. So multiple skid plates on ice trucks. I have, on my Tacoma, I just have the front skid plate, but I don't have any additional armor. But normally you have the slider rails, and then you have skid plates up underneath. It's thousands of dollars that you have to spend to get armor like you have with the Cybertruck. But I wanted to show you guys this here. Let's see, where is it? I shot a video. Okay, so this is super common. When I'm out off-roading, this is not as much in Colorado, but I was down, I actually, here we go, I'll just play it.
Why is it such a big deal that the Cybertruck doesn't have a paint job? This is why.
Oh, I swear here, guys, sorry. I don't know who's sensitive to it.
Yeah, because you don't think about this shit when you never leave the road. But when you get out here in the fucking boonies, that's the kind of stuff you need armor for.
So, did you guys hear the audio on that? So anyway, that was, you're not just needing armor when you're off-roading. If you guys saw the video I just did with the motorcycle, you don't just need armor for underneath and for rocks. A lot of times when you're off-roading, you run into a situation where there's obstacles, overgrown trees, all kinds of things that are hanging into the road. And he didn't even mention the stainless steel body. I mean, that's the problem. The parts he compared it to were such a small percentage. Another thing he didn't mention, and I know why he didn't mention it, because we don't know for sure what the Cybertruck is going to have. But in most sophisticated off-road vehicles nowadays, they have really advanced traction control systems that let you do some amazing things that are really, really impressive when it comes to getting over obstacles, getting through mud and sand and other stuff that frequently are difficult things when you might have to even get out like recovery gear or get out a winch. And these new modern traction systems can pulse the tires and kind of use like rear diff locking or front diff locking in order to give you much better traction off-road. And those are probably going to be included in the Cybertruck. You have this independent ability to control the motors in such a way that will give it incredible off-road capabilities that he didn't even mention. So again, could go on and on and on. But when I showed that video, did you guys hear the audio on it, or I don't know? I'm curious. Anyway, I guess it's not that big of a deal, but let's see. So, okay, someone asked about flipping. If you watched his video, he showed the video where the Model Y, he called it endo, where you go end over end. And that is a risk, but it's only a risk if you're in super severe terrain where you actually can get the front end to flip over the back. And he does that kind of off-roading. But something that happens a lot more commonly when you're off-roading that isn't quite as dramatic, but when you're trying to do hill traverses, so a lot of times in the, especially out in Colorado, but we even have it here in Missouri and stuff, you have these washouts where you actually have to drive the truck up on the side of the mountain or the hill because the road, a big chunk of it's been washed out. And one of the problems with a higher center of gravity is you get up on that hill, and first of all, you lose traction. You could slide down into the washout. But the second thing is you're up kind of where you get turned this way. And that happens commonly where you're in those kinds of situations. And the Cybertruck's low center of gravity will give it much, much better ability to do those washout hill traverses that are kind of white knuckly when you're using a high center of gravity like a Jeep or something. Yes, some of you heard the audio. No, some of you didn't. And that's weird. Oh yeah, they did mention that the CT, didn't Elon tweet that the CT will have a digital rear diff lock? I think he might have actually said that. So let's see what else. We're going to talk about. So Cybertruck meetup. Okay. I don't have any official plans yet on the meetup, except that it's going to be in 2022. We'll probably do it even if nobody has their Cybertruck. I like to go out to Colorado at least once a year. I usually do it with my motorcycling buddies, but I've also been out there with my truck. And so the idea with the meetup is that hopefully by July or August, it'll be probably July or August. Otherwise, the passes won't be open. We'll just do a meetup there where hopefully some people will have their Cybertrucks by then. And then I won't have mine. I can't imagine I'll have mine. I'm like 475,000 in line. But I'll have my Tacoma, and so anybody that has an off-road capable vehicle is invited. That's a reservation holder. So the idea would be that people that haven't off-roaded before will have like some groups that will do some basic intermediate stuff, and then for people that are more hardcore, they can go off on their own and then come back and we can hang out. A lot of us won't have our Cybertrucks, so I think it'd be cool, obviously, to be able to get up close and personal and look at the Cybertruck, and hopefully, if we have some people that are experienced and they're comfortable with off-roading, we'll be able to at least get some of the Cybertrucks into some challenging off-road stuff and see what it can do. But that's going to be kind of up to the comfort of the owners of the vehicle. So, it's just going to depend on who has it and who can make the drive. But yeah, that's kind of the plan at this point. It just would be to meet somewhere in Colorado, someplace that obviously we'd probably have to stay at a campground that has outlets for obvious reasons. But other than that, I don't have anything specifically lined up. My plan was to go next year and try and scout out some areas. And if there's people out there in Colorado that have some ideas on like campgrounds, just shoot me an email, cybertruckguy@gmail.com. So, anywhere, I think that's about all I have on that. Cybertruck meetup. Yeah, people have asked me about the Cyber ATV situation. So I'm not a big ATV fan. The problem with ATVs, so I would love to try it out, but what I've noticed with ATVs, with motorcycles, you're always afraid the motorcycle, you're going to fall. So you treat it really carefully. Like people don't they can't get crazy with a motorcycle because it just feels wrong to go fast off-road. So you kind of build up to it. You learn the skill of riding and you kind of respect a motorcycle. You're afraid of it. Problem I've seen with people riding the ATVs or the quads is that anyone can get on them and they think, or it feels kind of like it's a car, or it just feels like, oh, there's no big deal. But they actually tend to be real tippy, and people just don't, they just jump on it like they've never done anything off-road. They get on a quad and people just get hurt. And the problem is they get hurt bad. So last year when we were out in Colorado, we were just eating dinner with, at a pizza place, me and my motorcycle buddies, and next to us were search and rescue guys. And they had told us literally they had just come from a dead on arrival ATV case where a woman who had never been on a quad before had rolled it, and it had rolled on top of her. So that's my reservation about quads. Now maybe this one, because it's electric, it might have a lower center of gravity and it might be safer, but in general, I really they make me really nervous. So yeah, that's kind of my my take on the quads. Sorry, you heard my 4-letter words. Let's see. I am in Kansas City. I live on the Kansas side. Kansas City, it's separated. There's a state line that runs right through the city. So, the Royals and the Chiefs, their stadiums are on the Missouri side. Probably 2/3 of Kansas City lives on the Missouri side, and then 1/3 lives on the Kansas side. Yeah. Well, I would say, again, as it relates to quads, if I owned one, I would make all my kids go to the safe, there's classes for quads, and I would be okay. I feel okay on a quad. I just want it. There's just a tendency for just anyone to want to jump on it, and I would be like, you got to go get trained. I don't want you riding my quad unless you have actual training on them. All right. So let's see. I want to talk about the pass through. So first, did you guys see this? This is not the news, but this was just, I think this just happened today. There was a tweet. Somebody tweeted out this rendering of the Cybertruck with this whole thing folded flat right here. I don't know how pragmatic that is, but apparently Elon Musk said it's worth considering. So the thing that I want to show you is this. So this is the photo that it's been repaired sent me, and if you look, oh wow, that gets loud when I get closer. So if you notice this right here, this part of the trapezoid. Now what's interesting, some people think this is a reflection. I do not think it's a reflection. To me, at first, it appeared very much like it was some kind of an actual laser cut. And the thing is that this would be, if you guys remember, Electrek or Teslarati said, they actually said on their things you may have missed about the Cybertruck, that the center back seat had a door which appeared as though it could open and it could be used as a pass-through. And that's exactly where this trapezoid shape is. Now, the funny thing is, this does not show up in the Motor Trend photos. So and there are some other things. If you guys notice, I'm going to show you this ramp. This is not what the ramp looks like in those Motor Trend photos. So I think that there were some modifications made to the Tesla after it. Now the problem is, of course, when you get out here, you can't tell if there actually is if that's a reflection or if that's actually a laser line. The point is, there's already been confirmation that there will be a partial pass through. Teslarati said that there was this door apparently in the middle seat, and then that little cutout looks like it was right in that same spot. So it does. I mean, again, I do really think that there is some pass through, but I think it would be really awesome. I mean, that would be epic, and I'm not sure what would be required in order to achieve that, but that being able to fold flat would just be insane. So the fact that Elon said it's worth considering, he doesn't normally, one of the things with his tweets, he doesn't normally say those kinds of things unless there actually is some kind of potential that it could happen. So anyway, okay, so where did I get the idea for the David and Goliath video? So that's my most recent video. Actually, I'd been trying to think about the article that from the designer, the Renault designer, that came out at the end of April or right at the beginning of May. And then on Cybertruck Owners Forum, they had pointed out those three words: iconic, brutal, and perfect. And that was, I was just like, man, that is such a cool way of contextualizing the design ethic behind the Cybertruck, that I thought I really want to think of a way to talk about this and tell the story. And I actually wasn't gonna use the David and Goliath. I was gonna use a different example. I was actually gonna talk about the some of you guys have noticed on my shelf back right there, you guys can see the cheese head right there. Yeah. So that's in my video. Sometimes you can see the cheese head. So I grew up about 45 miles south of Green Bay. So I'm a big Packers fan. And I was originally going to use for my illustration the ice bowl, talking about iconic and brutal and perfect as as a symbolism for how something that was brutal could also be awesome and memorable and those kinds of things. But I just couldn't figure out how I wanted to tie it together. And then I started thinking about the David and Goliath thing, and I thought, oh yeah, that feels like a lot better way to tell the story of brutal, iconic, and perfect. So anyway, that's yeah. I think folding your door. Yeah, I do too. I really do. Do North Carolina. Good to see you. Yeah, that's what I keep thinking about camping. I think about two things with the pass through. So I don't use my truck very much anymore for work. That's why I got rid of my F-250 and I bought the Tacoma, because mostly I'm just selling and managing. I don't have to haul things around anymore. But the two things that I think about a lot are I have 3 dogs, and it's always such a pain. I mean, trucks are so confined, and regular trucks, they're so space confined, that a pass through would be great, because then my dogs could like be in the bed, but they could like see us, and if they really wanted to, they could wiggle through. But I just think it would make a more comfortable process for everyone involved if my dogs could be in the back of the bed. And then obviously camping, if you had that, all that space, that would just be amazing. And access to the front cab, I just opens up a lot of opportunities. So yeah, I'm super excited about that. Oh, good. Well, I'm glad you live in Wisconsin, but you like the David and Goliath story better. Cool. VDG. Oh man, the Nikola Badger. So the first thing I want to say is I'm super. I really want to try the Rivian. I don't know which one's going to come out first, the Cybertruck or the Rivian, but that tank turn, some of you guys know, like one of my early videos I did on the whole idea of the Cybertruck being able to tank turn. So I'm a super fan of competition. Even though I'm a Cybertruck reservation holder, I've driven a lot of trucks before. In fact, I've mostly had, at our company, we mostly had Ford and Chevys, but we had some of the new Rams this year. I loved them. I thought they were amazing. So I'm not a like exclusive like Cybertruck and nothing else. So as far as the Badger goes, I think the Badger, from an aesthetic standpoint, again, just totally personal, right? I think it looks cooler than the Rivian. That's just my opinion. But I'm pretty skeptical on the whole hydrogen thing. I'm really skeptical on the whole Nikola thing. I guess, I hope it works. I think it's really cool. But they've been trying to get the hydrogen thing up off the ground now for, it feels like decades. And I haven't seen anyone that has cracked the math on how do you produce hydrogen for cheap enough that it actually makes sense to displace gas or electric vehicles. So maybe I need to go, and maybe Nikola has some stuff that they've put out on that explaining the math, but that's my biggest thing. But as far as like a truck that I'd love to try out, yeah, it looks like an awesome truck. Definitely it's more like my truck. It looks more like a Tacoma. It doesn't, it's not as big. It doesn't seem as big or as capable as a Cybertruck in terms of payload and towing and as like a work truck. But I mean, I think it's super cool. I think the Rivian, I'm much more optimistic about the Rivian coming to market. The fact that they're building all those trucks for Amazon, I think Rivian is going to happen. So if I were a betting man, that'd be where I put my bet, is Rivian. But yeah, I know that I do know that most hydrogen, the cheapest way to make it right now is from natural gas. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. You could say, that's the thing, is like you could say the same thing about Tesla 10 years ago. So I think it's cool. I think what's happened with their stock is crazy. It's like past the valuation of Ford. It's crazy. But anyway, yeah. I just don't, the one thing I've thought about hydrogen is, I suppose if you could make it, how California ends up making so much excess power right now during the day that they can't do anything with it. I suppose if you had just like surplus power and you could use that to run scaled up electrolysis machines to create hydrogen, maybe you could get the cost low. I understand the advantages of having a liquid fuel, obviously, especially why we're still trying to get the ranges up on EVs, but it sure seems like the range issue is falling away faster than the price of hydrogen is falling. So I don't see it. But yeah, we'll see. Well, yeah, people could. I know that. Yeah, the hydrogen fuel chain is only 25 to 35% efficient. Um, I guess it depends what you're making it. If you're making it out of natural gas or something, yeah, you're wasting a lot. But like I said, if you had excess energy where you just had surplus power that was otherwise just going to get dumped. I don't know. What is California? Don't they just shut down some of their power generation because they have so much power sometimes? Um, da, 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 da. Well, I mean, I've driven, let's see, when I was in New York, what was I driving? In the city, it would be, yeah, that would be, I mean, if you're talking in true in the city, but I think if you're out, out on the outskirts, it's manageable. No battery day. Everybody wants to know about battery day. Uh, yeah. I mean, here's the one thing I've thought about this because people have said about New York. The one, it's not here yet, but when Smart Summon actually works, it does solve a problem. I mean, if you don't have to park, if you just have to drive down into New York and you could get out and your Cybertruck could go 5 miles away or 10 miles away and park, and then you could summon it back, that solves a big problem that otherwise would make it just yeah, a nightmare. You'd spend more paying for parking than that than probably your apartment. Um, da, 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 da. So, were there any other questions? I was going to just briefly touch on Sandy's other videos because in his first video, he was talking about the complexity of assembling the Cybertruck versus the complexity of assembling these other vehicles. And that has me super curious about our assumptions on production. So if you can build a Cybertruck production line for $30 million, according to Sandy Monroe, and you can skip the most expensive part, which are the painting and all the presses. Could it be that we see the Cybertruck ramp much faster than we see the other than the other vehicles have ramped? It strikes me when you're taking something that he keeps reiterating how simple it is going to be to build this thing. And so again, I think, yeah, probably the big bottleneck is batteries. But if the battery question is already being solved, we all think that they're in the middle of building some new production lines, and if they have the capacity to do it, and that's what leads me also thinking about the semi. The semi is supposedly going to start getting produced here, so they must feel pretty confident they're going to be able to start cranking these batteries out, and they need to, because otherwise they can't do any of the other stuff. They can't do any of their large scale storage without doing it. So if batteries aren't a constraint, I think you could probably spin up multiple production lines really fast. It's not that complicated. And so that's the one thing I keep thinking about, is how quickly we could get our Cybertrucks relative to the line, of 700,000 now, I think it's up to, versus some of the other things. So I'm really curious to see how quickly they can build a line, and then how quickly they can run duplicate lines, or whether they're going to do duplicate lines, whether they're only going to do one super assembly plant in Texas, or whether they might not actually do multiple, which is like, what, like for instance, what are they doing in Great Britain? I'm not saying it's for Cybertruck, but man, that's weird. It sounds to me like they're gonna ramp up factories, and they're starting to look at places. I mean, for all we know, they could do Tulsa and Austin at the same time. Or again, I think the capacity of growth is multiplying quicker than we're used to. So I think some of the exponentials are going to start taking hold with overall their manufacturing process. Well, the paint thing. So the I didn't really understand that much about difficulties of paint. I do know that we have in Kansas City we have an F-150 plant, and about a third, maybe, probably a third of the, it's huge. It's their second largest plant in the U.S. And I would say they have one massive whole building dedicated to just nothing but paint. So the time doesn't have to dry, the expense. I mean, in his first video, Sandy Monroe said that a paint production facility that could do, I don't know what he said. He originally said it was like $250 to $300 million, but in his most recent video, the one he just released, not the off-road one, but the first one on, the first part of the Cybertruck comparison one, he was saying it was a modern paint plant was $500 million. So yeah, super insane. No, Tesla doesn't quote numbers. That's all from doing the calculations of figuring out where your reservation is compared to the original reservation. Speculation, but the reservation count early on was really close using that method as the numbers that Elon was tweeting out. So it stands to reason that the Cybertruck owner group number calculation method is fairly accurate, at least for reservations. I think there's a lot of questions about, will the people that have multiple reservations actually, I'm sure there's going to be some attrition when they actually have to start paying for it. But anyway, let's see, anything else? I don't have a whole lot more to cover, so don't need to keep, I don't want to drag on the video for the sake of dragging on the video. So if there's not anything else, if you guys don't have any other questions, I'm just, let's see here. Well, Model Y demand, initially, I don't think so. I don't think, no, they didn't lower the price for the Model Y. They lowered the prices for the other vehicles, but not the Model Y. I don't see the Model Y. I don't think it's the same market. Yeah, I think there is some crossover, but there was an article that came out that I talked a little bit about after the Cybertruck, something called the Cybertruck effect, which was actually driving up Tesla sales, that a lot of people were, in fact, I myself have kicked around the idea of trading in my Tacoma and getting a Model Y so I could have a Tesla to, test out and stuff. I'm kind of upside down on my Tacoma, so I don't think that's going to be an option. I gotta probably make payments here for another year or two. But I was thinking, I actually had an idea that I thought would be kind of fun, where I would rent a Tesla, and then I would set up some road trips, not road trips, but some tests with my truck buddies. I would go out, I would talk to them about the Cybertruck, and then I know none of them have ridden in a Tesla. So I would like take them in a Tesla and like, you know, film them as I hit the acceleration and then tell them, hey, yeah, the Cybertruck I'm getting is going to go faster than this. And just to see what they think. I think they would, you know, I've got the whole range of truck buddies. I got truck people that are like professional manager people, all the way down to like true Missouri, like, you know, they talk with an accent, and redneck guys. They're great friends, but I got the whole group of them. So I thought it'd be kind of fun to get them in and get their, get their thoughts on a Tesla. So that was I thought that was kind of cool, something I was thinking of doing. Let's see. No, I don't think the tonneau cover would interfere with the folding window, except that obviously you couldn't. So I think the idea is that here, see this right here? The idea is it would fold, and the fold there would be, that's where the channel for the tonneau cover would retract and would open and close through. So, but my guess is once you have it down, you probably can't close it while it's up or down. So that'd be my guess. My guess is you probably have to set it right before you open it or close it, and then fold it down or up. But who knows? It's just imaginary at this point. I don't know. I'm not an engineer. I just want there to be a pass through. Yeah, I think if there's anything, 3 feet is nothing. I was going to show you guys this. Sorry, forgot about this. I was just gonna. So this is in my. It'll be able to do more than 3 feet because I can do 3 feet pretty easily with my Tacoma. I'll just show. This is only, the interesting part is only about 3 minutes.
All right. This is a decent size water crossing here. So let's see. Oh, let's fix that.
So remember, I only have about 9 inches of clearance in my Tacoma. So this, at the beginning, this is only about 6 inches of water. But I go through a couple of 3.5 foot water crossings here in a second. This first one, you'll hear me make a little noise. I was kind of freaked out. It was a little deeper than I thought it was going to be. Right there, that was where my sphincter puckered up. So it was deep enough to come up over my hood. So that was about, I would say that was about 3.5 feet right there at the deepest. This kind of cool thing up here in a sec. Okay, this is a deer, so just pay attention. So this is one thing I'm actually gonna do a video called like 12 ways the Cybertruck can save your life, and one of them is deer strikes. I think the Cybertruck is gonna be one of the safest vehicles you can be in for a deer strike. But this was just lucky, but this happens all the time down here.
I don't know if that camera caught the deer. Or was this a deer we just drove by?
So this is about a same thing. Starts out at about 6
This
inches.
road, they had this all graded out nice, and now it's all been washed back out. Or maybe that's just because we got so much rain.
This one I had to check out. I was nervous. You can't sometimes tell with the camera how deep things are, but it's the same thing.
Well, that was a pickle.
So I was kind of gauging it here.
I can get through that.
Now the problem is I don't have a winch yet for this, so if I get stuck, I'm stuck. But anyway, yeah, that's the interesting part. So that was about 3 feet. So the Cybertruck should easily be able to do 4 feet water crossings, or it should be able to do 1.5 foot fast water crossings, which is another beast altogether. So, well, that's about all I have for tonight. We did 52 minutes. That's not bad. I'm not sure. I think these are probably going to be like 30 minutes. So I don't think there's enough to talk about for an hour. I can't imagine, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Super cool. Have all you guys here. And yeah, we'll do this every week until we get bored of it or we don't have anything to talk about, and then we can space it out longer than that. So we'll just play it by ear. All right. Well, I got to figure out how to log off. I want to say like, oh, here. Oh, I found it. All right. Now I know how to end this. All right, guys. We'll catch you next week. Great talking with you.